Good afternoon, everyone. Please have a seat. Mr. President, 6 decades ago, when Kenya declared its independence, President Lyndon Baines Johnson wrote a letter from our nation to yours, and he said, "May the responsibilities of freedom wake the best that is in you." Today, we mark 60 years of partnership between our democracies, and we're fulfilling that wish together, and we're continuing. I truly believe it has brought out the best in both of us, not only in Kenya and America, but around the world. It's had a positive impact. But through our partnership, we're continuing to meet our responsibilities in 4 key areas. First, I'm proud to announce we're working with Congress to designate Kenya a major non-NATO ally. That's a fulfillment of years of collaboration. Our joint counterterrorism operations have degraded ISIS and al-Shabaab across East Africa. Our mutual support for Ukraine has rallied the world to stand behind the UN Charter. And our work together on Haiti is helping pave the way to reduce instability and insecurity. And I want to thank you, Mr. President, Kenya's leadership for multinational security support mission in Haiti. Our new global partnership is going to build on all this progress. We're going to make and meet new challenges and with more resources. And it's going to strengthen the security of our countries and our countries around the world. Second, we're deepening our economic cooperation. Both President Ruto and I have focused on growing economies, and growing them from the bottom up, the middle out, the bottom up, and when that happens, everybody does well, not the top down. Because when the middle class does well, the poor have a ladder up, and the wealthy still do very well. That's true in Kenya, that's true in America, and that's true around the world. Right now, many countries, debt stands in the way of growth. Too many nations are forced to make a choice between development and debt, between investing in their people and paying back their creditors. So today we're launching what we're calling the Nairobi, Washington Vision. This initiative is going to bring together international financial institutions and nations from all around the world to mobilize more resources for countries saddled with debt, to open more opportunities to the private sector financing, and to promote transparent, sustainable, and affordable lending practices. These are big goals. It's going to take time to see lasting progress, but we're providing $250 million, the United States is, to the World Bank in a crisis response window. In the coming weeks, the United States is going to make an additional $21 billion available to the International Monetary Fund. And today, I'm proud to announce there will be $250 billion in new lending capacity for multilateral development banks like the World Bank to help low-income nations invest in their development and tackle growing challenges. This is supported by the United States and many other countries as well. Next, we're launching a new era of technological cooperation between the United States and Kenya. That means new partnerships with industry, artificial intelligence, semiconductors, and cybersecurity companies. New initiatives to expand affordable internet all across East Africa. New education programs are going to bring Kenyan students to the United States to study in the STEM fields. And I'm proud to announce that I'm working with Congress to make Kenya the first country in Africa to receive funding through the CHIPS and Science Act, which has served us well. This funding will link their supply chains to the United States and to our partners, and spur innovation that extends from Silicon Valley in California to Silicon Savannah in Kenya, which, by the way, is already a $1 billion tech hub, already a $1 billion tech hub. Finally, we're ensuring democracy delivers for our people. That includes Kenya's diaspora community here in the United States. 2 years ago, our nation's first black vice president, President Kamala Harris, launched the nation's first Presidential Advisory Council on African Diaspora Engagement. Today, we're building on her work to strengthen long-standing bonds between our people. I also want to thank you, Mr. President, for taking action to implement the long-awaited Public Benefits Organization Act, which provides historic protections for civil society and NGOs all across Kenya. Like you, I believe the future is going to be won by countries that unleash the full potential of their populations, including civil society, women, and young people. I look forward to working together to implement this act and jump-starting anti-corruption reforms to promote democratic values that bind our nations together. Now, let me close with this. Taken together, these are responsibilities Kenya and America must meet in the years ahead, and meet them together as partners for security, for prosperity, for innovation, and most importantly, for democracy. But I know these responsibilities will wake the best in us, and I know will not only bring our nations together, but I want to thank you for, again, Mr. President, for being here and knowing we have even bigger dreams for the cooperation in our countries. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to, in a very, very sincere way, thank you, Mr. President, for inviting me to make this state visit to the United States on behalf of the people and government of Kenya. I also take this opportunity to express my deep gratitude for the warm welcome we have received on our arrival and the excellent hospitality of the American people. My visit provides us, Mr. President, with the opportunity to celebrate 60 years of bilateral relations rooted on shared values of freedom, democracy, rule of law, equality, and inclusivity. My visit takes place at a time when democracy is perceived to be retreating worldwide. The accelerating drift towards regimes indifferent to democratic values is a deep concern to us, and I believe it is time the U.S., working with Kenya, deploys its capabilities and rally like-minded democratic countries to set up the course for democracy. During our discussions, we agreed on the significant opportunity for the U.S. to radically recalibrate its strategy and strengthen its support for Africa, as discussed at the U.S.-Africa Leadership Summit, by enhancing its investment in the institutions of African integration and increasing support for peace and security. As we take this historic step of elevating our partnership to be more effective in addressing global challenges, it is important for us to appreciate that many countries in Africa, including Kenya, are struggling with an overwhelming convergence of multiple shocks, including extreme climate events, debt distress, and the disruptive upheavals in Europe and the Middle East, whose cumulative impact is to divert national resources from investment in people and economic growth into managing climate-induced crises and servicing sovereign debt. For this reason, I have underscored the imperative for our partnership to facilitate recovery from these multiple crises, and particularly for the United States of America to take a leading role in a comprehensive debt resolution framework by doubling contribution to the concessionary financing window of the World Bank, and also to work with the IMF on rechanneling SDRs to institutions like the Africa Development Bank to further leverage on private sector funding to support countries. Unless this is done, and done immediately, the values of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law are in great jeopardy. On regional peace and security in the Horn of Africa and the Great Lakes region, I express optimism that Kenya and the US will innovatively design appropriate defense and security frameworks to help Kenya as the anchor state and the region in general to deal with the peace and security challenges that are undermining human well-being, slowing down development, and also having a negative impact on democracy. We affirmed our mutual commitment to the stabilization of Haiti through the multinational security support mission. The Kenya-UN Climate and Clean Energy Industrial Partnership we have just committed to is an encouraging milestone on our collective journey and builds on the paradigm shift we have inaugurated at the Africa Climate Summit in Nairobi last year. Accordingly, Africa's resource potential is a huge opportunity to deploy US technology and investment to catalyze unprecedented growth through green industrialization. We've also agreed to hasten the renewal of the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act to sustain the rising momentum of our investments and exports in the manufacturing space. Similarly, we agreed to undertake sustainable green growth by facilitating conclusion of our strategic trade and investment partnership alongside the renewal of AGOA. During our discussions, I witnessed firsthand President Biden's and the US government's determination to make our partnership work and resolve to spread and deepen the roots of freedom, democracy, security, and prosperity throughout the world. As my visit comes to a close, I am confident that our engagements have laid a solid foundation for us to continue the good work we have begun with stronger faith and greater hope for success, because in Joe Biden, Kenya and Africa have a strong and committed friend. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. You do have a friend, and you know, the African continent is going to have 1 billion people not too soon. The idea we're going to ignore it makes no sense at all. First question, Michael Wilner, McClatchy.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 questions, if I may, on...
No, 1.
I'm going to do my level best on Haiti and on Israel. Your administration went on a worldwide search for security forces, Beninese forces, Bangladeshi, Canadian, Chilean, any